My name is Shiraz Balolia and I'm the founder and CEO of Grizzly Industrial Inc. Today we're going to be starting on an awesome build for some lamp stands for these wonderful multi-vapor bulbs. But before we get into that, the actual build, I'd like to tell you a quick little story about how I came about owning these two bulbs. So back in 1999, we were getting ready to open our Springfield, Missouri facility, and I had traveled there to interview a whole bunch of people for the staffing in Missouri. And in walks Mackey. And he was rough and tough, and at that moment, you know, first impressions sometimes can lead to last impressions, and my first impression was, this guy ain't working for us. And about a minute into it, he started talking, and started to get to know him a little bit better, and I wanted to hear more from him. So 2 minutes later, I changed my mind a little bit, and 5 minutes into the conversation, I decided this guy would be a good fit for us. 20 minutes later, he was hired and turned out to be an amazing worker and worked for us for more than 20 years. So I bumped into him again at the Christmas party for the 28th anniversary of the Springfield facility. And it was wonderful to see him again. I'd seen him many times before. And he told me about these bulbs that he makes lamps out of. These are the old multi-vapor bulbs that you find in warehouse lighting. And he drills holes in them and puts wicks through them and so on. And Mackie then went on to retire, and shortly after retirement, unfortunately, he was the victim of COVID and passed away. The project that I'm going to embark upon is going to be in memory of Mackie. So let's begin. So the woods I picked out today are Macassar ebony and highly figured maple. Macassar ebony is a very beautiful, dense wood. It finishes like marble. The finish on Macassar ebony is just awesome. And of course, then paired with the maple, the stand's going to have really nice accents, and it's going to look pretty nice. Now that we have the table saw height and width all set up, I went ahead and did a test cut. The ultimate goal is to make a cap like this. What will end up happening is I'm going to lock miter these corner joints, so it'll basically end up looking like this, but lock mitered in. And then this guy here will cover the corners up and give it a nice accent. So when the whole stand is done, it'll look something like that. So we're here at the milling machine. I've got a cap started here. This cap is going to go fit over this. First, I'm going to cut the slots for these, and then I'm going to go in, change the cutter, and we'll cut the little corners so that the whole thing fits in nicely. I'm pretty sure I got the right side. It fits like so. I'm going to show you the fit. Whoa! No screws, remember. Okay, nice and tight. So with a milling machine, you can get a lot of precision down to thousandths of an inch. Of course, I've left a little bit of room in there so that the wood can move if it wants to, but it's not going to move much. A project like this needs to be stunning. And to be stunning, it requires a lot of attention to detail. You got to remember who this project commemorates. It commemorates Mackey, who had a lot of attention to detail. You know, I worked closely with him in Missouri when we opened up and we were both running the forklifts and so on. I know his attention to detail. So that's what this project requires. And next we're going to go make the bases for the holders for the lamps on the lathe. So let's head over there. See how easy it is to cut those plugs off. Now we're going to go head over to the center. Got all the parts laid out. I got the base all sanded. Everything has been sanded to 600 grit. This is going to get screwed in from underneath. This is going to get put in like this. I'm going to put little dabs of glue, and then I'm going to through bolt this because I don't want that lamp falling off. So let's go ahead and assemble this. So before I put any finish on this, I'm going to wipe off any fine dust. I've already blown the air out with an air gun. I mean, blown the dust out with the air gun. But there's still going to be some fine dust, as you will see when I go ahead and wipe it with the naphtha. So naphtha removes everything down to the bare wood without affecting the wood at all. So when you put oil on it, nothing happens to it. It's just like the way it's supposed to be. Okay, you can see how much of that stuff came out. That's quite a bit of unnecessary dust in there. Okay, I'm gonna use bandmate. There'll be, this is finished to 600 grit, so the first couple of coats will be just oil that this wood is gonna suck in. And after that, I'll use a 600 grit with oil, and I'll sand that in with the oil. So let's go ahead and, oh, this thing is gonna finish so nice. This Macassar ebony finishes like marble. Maybe 3 or 4 coats total, but this is turning into quite something. Wow, I really like this, the way this thing turned out. So, there you go. So for the base underneath, I've got this real nice piece of leather. I actually cut it out, and I use a glue adhesive spray that I sprayed both sides. I covered it completely, so I didn't want any of the spray going on to my wonderful finish. Okay, done. Well, this has been a real personal project for me. Mackie was an amazing person, a great employee, a wonderful father, husband, grandfather. May his soul rest in peace.